got this one from King of the North, and I think this is so like interesting. This take he has, right? So, first message from King of the North. Got a reality check on Sam Howell listening to radio this morning. The dreaded radio. Since 2000, there have been 129 quarterbacks drafted in the 5th round or lower. Only one has developed into a franchise QB. Of course, that's Tom Brady, for those of you not in the know. That one quarterback is the greatest player ever, but the odds aren't good that Howell will pan out. Clearly, 1 out of 129. Okay. So that's the first one. We'll come back to that. Put a pin in that. We'll come back to that. His second message to me was, if Ron starts Howell, he will live up to the name Riverboat Ron, betting his career on the ultimate long shot. All right. So that second part is where I want to start. So that's why we put a pin in the first part, because I was having a conversation with a Bears fan today, and he asked me about Sam Howell. And before he started, before he finished asking me about Sam Howell, he transitioned right into Ron, and he said, "Isn't this a make or break year for Ron Rivera?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it is." And he's staking his claim on Sam Howell. That's what he's doing. And that was the first time I actually thought about it that way. Because, yes, Ron has to win this year or he's getting fired. That's not a secret. We've talked about this already. New ownership is coming in here. We saw what happened in Denver. Ron knows this all too well. It happened in Carolina to him when they had an ownership change from Jerry Richardson to David Tepper. Tepper came in. Ron got an extra year. Ron didn't finish that season because they were 5-9. He got canned, and he went out and hired the college coach that he ended up firing, 2-3 years later. So Ron knows this all too well. He knows what's at stake. He's got to win. I don't think Ron views Sam Howell as the ultimate long shot. And neither do I. So, with that said, now Ron is definitely putting a lot of eggs, pretty much all of them, in the Sam Howell basket. But here's why, and I feel the same way. So let's pull the pin out of that first comment. Since 2000, 129 quarterbacks selected, only one has panned out. It's Tom Brady. Okay, we got it. Okay, so let's talk about that. So I want to start by saying this about Sam Howell. Sam Howell isn't your standard run-of-the-mill 5th round quarterback. Okay, understand that. And I'm going to make this point really quickly. Sam Howell was in one of the worst quarterback draft classes in recent memory. At least that's the way it was viewed then when the selections were being made, and the way it's viewed right now. Okay, a lousy draft class of quarterbacks. Only one went in the 1st round, none went in the 2nd, and everybody that went thereafter, hit or miss, whatever. They're probably not going to be starters in the league anyway. All right, Panthers have already moved on from their 3rd round pick, Matt Corral. All right, Falcons are going to give their 3rd round selection a shot here in Desmond Ridder, and the Titans at some point may give Malik Willis a shot, but it didn't look good last year when he played. Okay, that's for sure. But we all said when he was drafted, he shouldn't see the field in his rookie season. And unfortunately, due to injuries, he had to. And it did not go well. Okay. That said, I truly believe Sam Howell got swept up in the quarterback conversation in 2022, which was, this is a bad class. None of these guys are all that good. And they just threw Sam in the mix with all these other quarterbacks and refused to acknowledge his circumstances, what he had done prior with more talent around him. They refused to acknowledge all of that, and they just threw him into the pot with Desmond Ridder and Malik Willis and Matt Corral and Kenny Pickett and all the rest of the quarterbacks in that draft class that everybody pretty much condemned and said they weren't any good. Here's my belief. I can't confirm nor deny this. Okay, here's my belief. In a better quarterback draft class, Sam Howell's a second-round pick. No worse than a third. No worse than a third. If you take Sam Howell out of the 2022 draft class, all right, let's pretend that we've got one of those grocery store pickers, right? You think you're about to win this teddy bear. No, the hell you're not. It's going to pick it up, but then it's going to slip, right? Let's pretend that we've got control of the picker, right? And we're going to press the button. Boop. We're going to pick Sam Howell up out of the 2022 draft. We're going to get him. We're going to get him. No, he falls out into the 2020 draft. Okay? Sam falls right down into the 2020 draft. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Hurts is a second-round pick. You telling me Jalen Hurts, better prospect coming out of college? To me, this is to me, than Sam Howell was, body of work-wise? No, I don't buy that for a second. That's just me, though. Okay? Daniel Jeremiah had Sam Howell as the 50th best player in the 2022 draft class. How he got to the 5th round, don't ask me. Okay? I just think that the perception was these quarterbacks stink, and he got swept up in it. It was lazy, and it was easy, and it was okay. It was accepted universally. Oh, he's a 5th round pick. You drop him in the 2020 draft, I guarantee you he's a 2nd round pick. With better quarterbacks, you throw him in that mix, and I guarantee you he's a 2nd round pick. We only label quarterbacks based off of where they're selected because that's what we've been trained to do. And most of the time, specifically with quarterbacks, no other position, because you can find an edge rusher in the 5th round, 6th round, 7th round. You can find an offensive tackle, 5th round. Hell, our starting offensive tackle is a 7th rounder, Charles Leno Jr. You can find undrafted guards. Rarely are you going to find an undrafted quarterback. Rarely are you, just as you made the point, rarely are you going to find a quarterback 5th round or later. But rarely are you going to find a 5th round pick with the talent of Sam Howell. The man was a preseason Heisman candidate watch list player going into his junior season. Let that shit sink in. Like, he didn't just come out of nowhere. The man was a Heisman watch list player in the preseason, heading into his first game on the road in Blacksburg versus Virginia Tech with 2 of his receivers from the year prior that were 1,000-yard receivers gone, both of his running backs who were 1,000-yard running backs to the league, and an offensive line that was in flux and everything changing around him. And he lost. And from that point forward, the demise of Sam Howell started. Let me read to you. I took the liberty. Since you brought up since 2020 or 2000, 129 quarterbacks have been taken. 1 has panned out. Do you understand what kind of quarterbacks go in the 5th, 6th, 7th round? Like, these aren't good quarterbacks. They're down there for a reason. I took the liberty of going back the last 3 drafts, starting with 2021. Okay, I'm not going to include Sam Howell's draft of 2022. Took the liberty of going back the 3 prior drafts and looked at every quarterback selected, 5th round or later. 19, 20, 21. Okay. In 2019, Easton Stick was selected in the 5th round by the Chargers. Still in the league as a backup for the Chargers. All right. Who the hell is Easton Stick? Okay. North Dakota State quarterback. You might have heard of him. Probably haven't. You know why? Because you shouldn't. He was never a Heisman watch list candidate. Clayton Thorson. You know him, right? Clayton Thorson, you know him out of Northwestern, right? Big tall kid? No? Never heard of him? I'm pretty sure you haven't. Because he's Clayton Thorson. That's why. Don't know if he's still in the league or not. Eagles drafted him in the 5th round in 2019. Probably not in the league anymore, if I had to guess. Maybe he's hanging on by a thread on somebody's practice squad. Gardner Minshew, you heard of him, though, right? We were thinking about maybe signing him. I think he signed somewhere today for a 1-year deal to back somebody up. Good for him. All right. 6th-round pick of the Jacksonville Jaguars back in 2019. Gardner Minshew was cool. Nobody ever thought of Gardner Minshew as a world beater. The biggest thing he ever had going for him was the mustache and the hair, right? Trace McSorley, I know you know him, right? Yeah, Trace McSorley, Penn State, 6th-round pick. Yeah, Baltimore Ravens, all right. He stinks. I watched the Arizona Cardinals last year on I want to say it was a Sunday night. They played against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Trace McSorley stinks. He was trash. 2020. Jake from State Farm, 5th-round pick, the New York Giants. He's on our roster right now. I'm not interested. Everyone keeps trying to tell me, hey, we got a developmental quarterback on the team already. It's Jake Fromm. Jake can get the hell out of here and go to State Farm. For all I care, he stinks. He's the guy that I remember from the Giants' infamous quarterback sneak on 3rd down last year at their own 4-yard line. Get him the hell out of here. He stinks. Cole McDonald had a farm EIEIO in the 7th-round draft pick out of Hawaii for the Tennessee Titans. You ever heard of him? No. You know why? Because he didn't even make it out of camp with the Titans. He went from 7th round to out of the league like that. Ben Baller DiNucci. You know him. 7th rounder out of James Madison. Only reason you know him is because he played for Dallas and we kicked his ass a couple of times. That's the only reason you know him. He stinks. This Ben DiNucci. Don't even know if he's still in the league anymore. He was hanging on by a thread with Dallas for years. Got beat out by Cooper Rush this past year. Don't know where he is. He might be on the Cowboys practice squad for all I know. I don't know. Tommy Stevens. Heard of him? Mississippi State quarterback. Big, athletic. Never really panned out at Mississippi State. Looks a lot more like Taysom Hill and Tim Tebow than an actual NFL quarterback. Don't know if he's in the league or not. Probably better suited to turn into a tight end than anything else. I don't know where he is. Stop asking. Nate Stanley. Big kid, Iowa. Slow as a sloth. You know, can throw the football a little bit. I know you know him, right? Oh, Stanley the Hammer, right? No, you don't know him. Vikings drafted him. I don't know where he is. Maybe he's in the XFL. Maybe he's in the USFL. I don't know. 2021, only one quarterback was selected 5th round or later. Sam Ehlinger. We saw him last year. Actually didn't think he played that bad against us. It was every other game that he played where he looked like shit. But I like Sam a lot. Not enough to start him. My point being, do you see these names? Does any of them fit the DNA profile of Sam Howell? This is what you're drafting 5th round or later. Okay? Extrapolate that list of guys over the last 22 years. Do it. Extrapolate. Because that's what you're getting in the 5th, 6th, and 7th round of an NFL draft. That's what it looks like. Remember Nate Sudfeld? Remember we drafted him? What was that? Was it 5th round, 6th round, 7th round? He was somewhere in that, back end of the draft. Sucked ass, did Nate Sudfeld. Okay? Nice guy. Lousy quarterback. Okay? That's what you're getting in the back end of the draft. So when you throw a number at me like 129, one guy succeeded, that's the kind of quarterback that you're selecting. Does Sam Howell belong in that conversation at all? Did Jake Fromm ever find himself in the middle of a Heisman Trophy conversation? What about Cole McDonald? He had a farm, maybe some chickens, maybe a rooster, maybe a cow, but never a Heisman Trophy conversation. Hey, how about Ben DiNucci? Is he even eligible for the Heisman playing at James Madison? Probably not. Yeah, Tommy Stevens. No. What about Nate Stanley? Come on, man. Stop your nonsense. So what I'm telling you is the league messed up. Like on some Dwayne Haskins shit, the league done messed up. They really did mess up on Sam Howell. He had no business getting to the 5th round. None. He didn't belong in the 5th round. And he could be the exception to the rule. Just like Brady probably didn't belong in the 6th round. But again, it's not like Brady was lighting the world on fire back in 1999 at Michigan. But he wasn't terrible either. He had a really good career at the University of Michigan, did Tom Brady. We all saw the combine pictures, the flabby body and the unathletic kid running the 40. We've all seen the pictures, right? Everybody else looked at it and said, okay, he's serviceable. He's no world beater. Every person that I've heard talk, I haven't talked to anybody to a man. Every person that I've heard talk about Sam Howell says the exact same thing. And look, you can get coach speak. A guy that you played for, they love you. You've endeared yourself to them. So they're going to speak highly of you. I've heard coaches talk about their former players that they love. They don't talk about those guys the way that Mac Brown talks about Sam Howell. They don't talk about him the way Phil Longo, his former offensive coordinator, talks about him. They don't talk about him the way former teammates vouch for him and talk about him. All of them say the same thing. Phil Longo said, one day there's going to be a 30 for 30 on Sam Howell being a 5th round pick. Who says that? He didn't have to say that. You can talk a guy up. You don't have to tell me that in 15 years from now, there's going to be a 30 for 30 on how the hell did Sam Howell get to the 5th round. He's that damn good. Mac Brown said, we didn't do him any favors at North Carolina that last year. He's a damn good quarterback. 1st round talent. We saw a glimpse last year. That Dallas game, that ain't Jake Fromm type ability. That ain't Ben DiNucci type ability that we saw in week 18 against Dallas. That ain't Tommy Stevens. That ain't Easton Stick. Damn sure ain't Trace McSorley. What we saw in week 18 versus Dallas was a talented quarterback that had no business finding himself as the first pick of the 5th round in the 2022 NFL draft. What we saw was a gem that fell right into our lap that we couldn't pass up again. You don't have to believe. And I'm not telling you to believe. Actions speak louder than words. And if he had never played in a game in the NFL other than the preseason, I'd have no leg to stand on. You guys saw it. Dallas's defense is no chopped liver. Did you see what they did to the Buccaneers the following week? I mean, we watched that game. They retired Tom Brady the following week. Let's not act like Dallas's defense is ass-tastic, because they retired Tom Brady the following week and they put the clamps on the 49ers offense the week after that. And if not for Dak Prescott regurgitating all over himself, they probably win that football game due to their defense. Sam carved them up, and we left points on the board. And our kicker missed a chip shot field goal. And Sam threw a ridiculous pick. You expect some of those mistakes from a rookie. We could have put 30 on their heads easily. Yeah, they helped. Punter dropped the ball, muffed punt. Yeah, they did their job to help us. Pick 6 was thrown. Absolutely. But Sam was throwing some darts too. Sam used his legs a couple of times too. You see the promise there. And now we got an offensive coordinator. And this is the last thing I'm going to say. Why I'm so gung-ho on Sam working out. More so than Carson Wentz last year. We knew what he was. I knew what he was, and I just wanted him to be the Wentz from the year before. I wasn't looking for Wentz from 2017 or 18, for that matter, okay, or 19. I just wanted the 2021 27/7 Carson Wentz, and we didn't get anything even remotely close to that. And that was our fault. Because, again, I said this before, and I'll say it again. We failed Carson Wentz before he failed us. We failed him first. The guy that we got against Jacksonville, I was willing to live with that dude, okay? The one that threw 4 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions. Yeah, that one. I was willing to live with that one. Because after the first 2 weeks when he was actually protected, 7 touchdown passes and 3 interceptions. You extrapolate that over the entire season, you're going to have a lot more touchdown passes than interceptions, and you can probably win a lot more football games than we ultimately did last year. It was the end of that Detroit game when Chase Roulier went down that was the start of the demise of Carson Wentz in Washington. He was never the same after the Eagles game. They broke him. We let him down before he let us down. That said, Sam Howell is in a better situation because the offense that he'll be playing in this year fits his skill set to a T. One of the things that I was most impressed with, I went back and watched the Dallas game 15 million times already. Okay. There ain't a damn thing you can tell me about that game. I've watched it 3 or 4 times. Okay. Thing that I was probably the most impressed with. Quick decision making. Slant, ball out, bam. Accurate, in front, run after catch. Comeback, 12 back to 10. Ball, outside shoulder, turn up the outside shoulder, up the sideline. Big play to Jahan Dotson. Jahan, other slot, boom, boom. Break a dude off, slant, boom. Ball in front, catch, run opportunity, off to the races, up the sideline or across the field, out of bounds. He was extremely accurate in the short to intermediate pass game. You know what offense Eric Bieniemy? It was funny because everybody kept trying to get out of Eric Bieniemy. What kind of offense you going to run? What kind of offense you going to run? What kind of offense you going to run? And Eric kept saying, whatever we need to run to be successful. Whatever we got to do to be successful. Whatever we got to do to drag our asses collectively across the finish line after 60 minutes with a win. That's all. He gave us all these cliches. I went back and I listened to him mic'd up, and he finally said, yeah, I'm going to be running the West Coast offense, which is what Andy, and that we should have known that, right? He's been under Andy Reid for these last 5 years, and Andy Reid's staple is the West Coast. That's what he was brought up in. Andy Reid was on the staff of the 49ers with Walsh, and I think he was on the staff with George Seifert, who's disciple, who's a disciple of Bill Walsh, and they ran that West Coast offense. That's Andy Reid's bread and butter, okay? That's his core. Those are the principles that make up his offense, right? So, yeah, that's the gist of what we'll be running here, and he finally said it. You know what the West Coast offense consists of? A lot of short passing game. Really, in the West Coast offense, at its essence, at its core, if you trace it back to Bill Walsh, the short passing game is an extension of the run game. They had one of the best receiving running backs in NFL history, especially at that time, Roger Craig, who they threw it to a million times. They threw it to the fullback, Tom Rathman, who was a great receiving fullback, right? The backs were a huge part of the passing game because in that offense, you wanted to spread teams out. You wanted to make them respect the running back out of the backfield as a threat to catch it. And then when you soften them up, that's when you can hit them with the run, right? That's what we're going to do here. You want to know why the Chiefs are so successful? Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is pretty damn good, man. No, he's the best, all right? So a lot of off-script shit from Patrick, a lot of Houdini, sleight of hand shit. Hey, no look. I'm throwing it this way. I'm looking that way. All kinds of shit, right? And he's the best at that. But there's a lot of the short passing game. A lot of Travis Kelce running 5 yards and turning around. A lot of little slants. A lot of, little drag routes that he's getting into playmakers in their hands. A lot of things that allow Patrick Mahomes to get into a rhythm. One of my biggest pet peeves with Scott Turner was that We would go 5 or 6 plays and throws in the game without getting the quarterback an easy toss to get him into a rhythm. You know, here we are, first 2-3 throws. Carson Wentz's first throw of the game. It was a terrible decision by Wentz, don't get me wrong, but it's on 3rd and 8. What is he supposed to do on 3rd and 8? And he tries to throw a deep out, and he throws it right to the defender. And you're like, where's the slant? Where's the 5-yard stop? Where's the, shallow cross to get him into a rhythm at the beginning of the game? Where's that at? The first throw is a 3rd and 8? Are you kidding me? That's how you're going to set your quarterback up for success? That's not what the West Coast offense is about. Sam Howell thrives in the short pass game, being accurate and decisive. We saw that against Dallas. And then when it opens up, and this is what the West Coast is all about, that short passing game, right? Setting up opportunities vertically. That's how it is evolved. Is when it was first conceived, everything was short to intermediate. It was about being surgical. Joe Montana was going to go. Tom Brady's idol is Joe Montana. Joe Montana was surgical with that bitch. Scalpel, sponge, scissors. All right. He was going to get in that bitch. Boop, 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 down the field. Next thing you know, 11 plays later, touchdown to John Taylor. Okay? Touchdown to Jerry Rice. But he was going to nickel and dime your ass. That's what the West Coast offense is about. Wearing you down, slowly but surely. Eventually, you're going to miss a tackle. Jerry Rice is going to take a slant 75 yards. Eventually, you're going to make a mistake, and we're going to make you pay for it. Now it's evolved into you're going to eventually come up. Because you're getting tired of getting this 5-yard here, this 8-yard here, this run here. You're going to eventually come up, and when you do, boop, over the top. Got him. Or them linebackers going to come up to be aggressive, and then you get something in that intermediate right behind them, right? You play off of that. One of the things we didn't do with Scott Turner is we didn't marry the run and the pass. So even though you're having success with the run, your pass plays don't look like the run, so they're not falling for play action fake. So you're not getting those intermediate chunk plays, which allows you to get down the field in 7 or 8 plays versus 12 or 13 plays. Well, this offense is set up to take advantage of having success on the ground. So Sam might be the best deep ball thrower in this division. He might be already. Sam was the best deep ball thrower in his draft. And if I were to pick him up and drop him in that 2020 draft, I think he'd be the second best deep ball thrower in that draft behind Joe Burrow. So what I'm telling you is we saw the ball he threw to Terry. That was his strength coming out of UNC. The Army Browns are one trick pony coming out of UNC. Drop that bitch right in the bucket. Boop. So we know he can throw the deep ball. We know he can throw it accurately underneath. He's got all the tools he needs. He's got playmakers. He knows, I just got to distribute the ball to these playmakers. They'll do the rest. Sam Howell is not your average 5th-round pick. I'm just telling you. You pick him up and you deposit him in the 2020 draft, he's a 2nd-round pick. He got swept up and lumped in with the rest of the bums in the 2022 draft. And everybody was content with that narrative that this draft sucks at quarterback, and nobody was willing to kind of cipher out and filter out that Sam Howell didn't belong with the rest of them. He should have been closer to Kenny Pickett than Matt Corral and Malik Willis and the rest of these dudes that went 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and later. I guess only time will tell, right? I can sit here and talk to you till my face turns blue. But I'm here to tell you that I'm staking my claim in Sam Howell. More so than I ever did with Dwayne Haskins or Carson Wentz or anybody else that was here. There weren't many guys that I vouched for at quarterback since we've been doing this together. Okay. The last guy I went this hard for was Robert Griffin III. And this was early in his career. All right. And really, he knocked my socks off in 2012. I did not expect him to be that good. I thought he could be good. I didn't expect him to be that good in 2012. So, excuse me. I'll just leave you with that. King of the North. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, King of the North, writes, I'm optimistic about Howell. Loved what I saw versus Dallas. The odds are against him, though, Lou. That's all I'm saying. The odds are against him. Let me finish your comment. I hope we aren't deceiving ourselves. Hope changes perspective. Long shots pay big. Again, if he were of the ilk of Nate Stanley or Ben DiNucci or Cole McDonald or Easton Stick or Clayton Thorson or even Sam Ehlinger, then I would tell you that, yeah, we psyching ourselves up. But he's not, he doesn't belong in that. If I gave you a list of quarterbacks and threw his name in there and I said, who doesn't belong? He's the one you'd pick out of that group and say he doesn't belong. None of these other quarterbacks have ever been looked at as a potential first-round pick. Had he come out when the rest of his teammates came out after the 2020 season, he would have been a first-round pick in 2021's draft at quarterback. He'd have been right in there with the Justin Fields and the Mac Joneses. He'd have been right in that mix had he come out in that first round, come out in that draft. But he wasn't eligible because he was a true freshman that got on the field at UNC immediately and set ACC records. Not North Carolina records, ACC, Atlantic Coast Conference records as a freshman, a true freshman. Sam Howell is not your standard run-of-the-mill 5th, 6th, 7th round pick. So while he is a long shot because of his draft status, he's not a true 5th round pick. I'll give you an analogy. You know I love analogies. Duke, if you're following the NCAA tournament, they're not really a 5th seed. I remember when the seeding came out, and if you follow me on Twitter, you know I'm a Duke fan. I said, 5th seed, really? Question mark? With the emoji like this, like, really? We a 5th seed? I get it. The body of work says 5th seed, but you see what we out here doing. And you know what Jay Billis said? And, sometimes Jay can be a little bit biased. He's a former Dookie, right? But Jay is also a guy I respect his opinion as a college football or college basketball observer and commentator and an analyst. He said, you know who I feel bad for? I feel bad for Oral Roberts, the 12 seed. You know why? Because they shouldn't be playing Duke as a 5 seed. Oral Roberts went 34-4 this year, or 30-4 this year. All right. They won every single game in their conference. Their reward should not be playing the red hot Duke Blue Devils with the best defense, some of the best defense in all of college basketball. That should not be their reward in the first round of the NCAA tournament. They should be playing a banged up Tennessee team as a 5th seed. They should be playing some other team like Virginia that they can handle, who doesn't score points, who they can upset in the first round. Not Duke. You know why? Because Duke shouldn't be a 5th seed. They're not really a 5th seed. Sam Howell really isn't a 5th round pick. You'll see soon enough, just like everybody else will. It's easy to dismiss him because, he went in the 5th round. He's not really a 5th round pick, just like the Duke Blue Devils aren't really a 5 seed. Hope does change perspective. You're absolutely right about that. No lies detected. This isn't one of those times where I'm trying to convince myself. I said it when he came out. To me, he's the wild card of this year's quarterback draft class. Meaning, The talent is here. The potential is here. He just needs the right fit. Goes to the right team, he'll have a shot. I think he found the right team. It's not often I say that about us, because what have we done to develop quarterbacks? What have we done to nourish, to cultivate talent, to take something that's good and make it great? What have we done specifically at quarterback? Nothing, which is why we haven't had a quarterback, a franchise quarterback, in over 3 decades. We tried to get one in Kirk Cousins, but we even effed that up. He landed in a place where he didn't have to play in his rookie season until week 18, which was a blessing in disguise. He got that one start. He played well. It gave him confidence. It gave everybody else, more importantly, it gave everybody else confidence in him, because I think he was already a confident dude when he came here, right? So it gave confidence to him, and then his teammates looked and said, hey, Sam can do this shit. Now we're going to see. This didn't happen by happenstance. He wasn't one of the best quarterbacks in the nation going into the 2021 season by accident, okay? I'm not saying. I'm just saying.